Welcome back, Keepers of the Flame. Okay, so I tried doing a few readings for Ceres and Aries, and for whatever reason, it just wasn't working out. And then the Taurus one was like a no. So I'm going to try Ceres and Gemini and see if they're going to allow me to do this. And I'm going to pick a card. I'm not going to let fall out what falls out because this is a very descript deck. I am using the Herbal Astrology Oracle deck. It's magical. It's beautiful. It's amazing. You are the medicine. So this is like the synergy that I've been talking about this entire time between the relationship between the plants and the astrological placements or astrological energies that are happening either within us or up there, and we can see that reflected to us back in the plants and the animals too, if you pay attention to those as well. This is all a weaving together, this synergistic property. Okay, so with this mothering aspect, I thought like, oh, this would be the perfect deck because it's weaving almost like a nice blanket for understanding of how intimately you really are connected to not only nature but the very nature of the nurturer, nature nurture within you. So Gemini, let's go. Ceres in Gemini. I did a pre-video for this, and in the descript box there is a link directly to a astrological website that has just the asteroids, so you can plug that in and take note of where all your other asteroids are, and you can look that up. Either wait for one of my reads, or you can go look it up on the interwebs, or there's a book, Asteroid Goddesses by Demetra George and Douglas Bloch. Now this only has 4, and we're going to start with Ceres, and I want to spend as much time on your descript and read as possible, so let's get into it. So Ceres in Gemini persons receive nurturance through being educated, talked to, and listened to. These people nurture others mentally through communicating knowledge to them. Self-acceptance is based on feeling smart or intellectually competent. Imbalance occurs when feelings of mental inadequacy lead to learning difficulties or attempts to intellectually impress or verbally manipulate others. So the chart example they give here is Alan Leo, founder of the Theosophical Lodge and astrological occult writer, has Ceres in Gemini conjunct Uranus in the 10th house. Interesting. All right, Gemini. Let's see if we can pull a read off today. Maybe just the one. Okay, so these are lovely, lovely cards. Very cool. I'm going to shuffle a few times. And then I'm going to pull a card because with Aries, like 5 things popped out. And I'm like, I don't feel comfortable telling people about that many herbs in one reading. Like they're supposed to go investigate all these herbs. I'm not comfortable with that. So like 1 or 2, I'll take. But like for whatever reason, Aries kept wanting to like get several cards, and I tried. But I was like, I don't know. We're going to use this deck respectfully. Okay. So 1 or 2 cards. Okay. There's the lion's mane and motherwort. Ha ha, funny. Okay. So there's your motherwort on the bottom of the deck. And there then is mugwort. Oh, that's funny. Psychic healing and strength. Wow. That's actually quite a bit of mother in one reading, because the moon is also connected with Ceres because it's the mother. Some other energy. So, you know that old adage, the cards never lie. Like, ever. Okay, so this is definitely because these are in a similar genus, if you will. So this is So when you're dealing with this particular family, there's like a more fluid way to step into life. There's a more in-tuned way to get into those emotional waters. And you can see that here. There's a lot of watery, even her hair looks like she's flowing here. Okay, there's a lot of water in here. And particularly because these particular plants and herbs have such a powerful effect on people. Like mugwort is a you could call it hallucinogenic. And you need to be careful with it because you can OD on it. So again, not a doctor. Don't do anything ridiculous or naive. Okay? But there is a very important story that goes along with mugwort. Way before there was the beer and ale and mead that we know today, there was a drink, hence why they call it mugwort. They put it in a mug. Okay, this would be the main ingredient, and the women healers of the tribes or townships, whatever they were called back in the day before Saint Patrick did away with all the druids and pagans for the most part. There was a tincture, a mix, if you will, of with mugwort being used with other herbs, not just the mugwort. There was oftentimes, if somebody in the community or especially the family household had an ailment, funny, they would mix in whatever herb craft that particularly went along with that. Now, the medicinal value of the mugwort is a soothing one where it kind of gently introduces dream time in the correct portions. And no, I don't even have that. So I'm not going to give it to you. So this definitely represents that. This card definitely represents that dream time, that floating into the other world where you were gifted that time with that sacred DMT being released within your own body, and this boosting that and helping you connect with your divine self so you could remember and receive the downloads of dream time. This is, hello, Moon and Neptune. That's that energy, okay? Neptune rules Pisces. Pisces is the dreamer, okay? So this is very much allowing that flow, and you can see that in this card, allowing that flow to process, okay? So before there was beer and ale and things like that, that's what they would use in the family household, and they would barter with that. Women would barter or charge for whatever was left over of the days prior, because it only lasted about 24 to 48 hours. It was not you couldn't keep it on a shelf, you couldn't keep it in the jugs, you fermented it, and it was 24 hours to 48 is as long as you had. Now, I don't remember her last name, but her first name was Patricia. Somebody wrote a book, because back in the days they could write books, wrote a book called The Sacred Medica. And in that, she had discovered for herself that hops would preserve the mugwort formula much, much longer. Okay, so a particular group of people got a hold of that recipe and made it in very large vats and brews, if you will. That would make more sense. They made larger brews with it and started selling it. Thus, the birth of the first pub. Now, any of you have been paying attention to what's happening in the last 3 years, you know what that significant means. And women were not allowed in this pub or any others that were born after it because they were irritated and upset that they had, not only had they pretty much dwindled down on the mugwort aspect of things, but they had upped the hops with similar effects, so to speak. So only men were allowed to go into the pubs, and the only reason why a woman would be allowed to enter is she was selling something that wasn't this. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, okay? Thus started the breakdown of the family system. So, now I'm not dissing on beer. I'm not dissing on ale. I like my blueberry mead, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so this is not a diss on that. This is just the history of the herb. Okay, which they do not mention in the book. I was kind of disappointed about that, but oh well, what do you do? So, and then, you know, the breakdown of the family happened, and then, you know, that fiery, flamey thing happened. So, this is a very significant card as far as mothering goes, because a lot of the mothers in the tribe were left to their own, and left, not only were their husbands not coming home at night to spend time with them and their family, and now their extra income is now depleted, and now their husband, significant other, whatever you call them, their mate, was spending whatever they were making or bartering for at an outside thing. So that, oh man, just like the astronomical things, one little brewski. So that's a huge thing, and I really kind of just want to write this lady and be like, hey, redo it, put that in there. So motherwort is similar vein, but very different when it comes to the inner part. This is like the exoteric, the outside, the connecting to the. This is the what do you call it? Esoteric, the inside. Okay, doing all that inner work. Whereas this is like, so for those of you who don't know, when you sleep at night, every night when you go to sleep, your spirit leaves your body, so to speak, okay, to go off into dream world, okay? And so that's what mugwort was kind of designed for. It's protecting that. But let's read what the cards have to say. This sucks. This elbow thing is going to drive me insane. Okay, dream work. The liminal space. In transition to other realities, clairvoyance, foresight. The ruler is Moon and Neptune. All Artemisia family plants are sacred to Artemis, the moon goddess, and mugwort is closely linked to the fairy realms. Historically, it has been used to protect against evil spirits, parasitic entities, dark energy, and hexes amongst a variety of cultures. Mugwort and its extended family are moon allies that symbolize the mystical workings of our intuition, dreams, and unconscious mind. The silvery light of moon illuminates the path to higher consciousness, winding through Lesliva subterranea, the underground forest. The moon represents our emotional body, the shadow self, the underworld, psychic abilities, and the occult. Its dark side can bring on illusions, fear, and feelings of separation and disconnection. Mugwort grants us the strength to work with our shadow and protects us from the parasitic entities that we might encounter as we dive deep into our psyche. Mugwort is resilient, and it grows in conditions where other herbs may be unhappy. This bitter herb was traditionally used as a tonic for stomach and intestinal conditions, including parasite cleanser, an aid to weak digestion, and more. The moon is said to be directly governed said to directly govern the stomach, the gut in its entirety, and the regulation of fluid in the body. So it is no coincidence that Artemisia, the moon goddess herb, greatly eases chronic stomach and intestinal complaints. Artemis, the moon goddess, and her wise white owl meet you as you enter the liminal space between one life phase and the next. Your channel is wide open. She's instructing you on how to draw upon your psychic powers to pass through this test with the realms of shadow. You are not lost. Oftentimes, the greatest clarity dawns after the darkest hours. Owl medicine asks you to use the powers of keen psychic sight to observe and intuit aspects of your life that may still lay in darkness. Confront that which is unworthy of your devotion. Eradicate destructive forces and pay attention to the signs and omens that appear as you navigate the labyrinth of the subterranean forest. Okay, 13, Motherwort. Strength. Strength, essence of creation, connecting to the creatrix within, fertility, birth, creativity, inner trust. The botanical name Leonarus cardiacea comes from the ancient Greek leon for lion and aura for tail, referring to the plant's leaves which resemble a lion's tail. Motherwort pertains to the herb's actions on the heart. As a whole, this name translates to lion-hearted, a term that speaks to motherwort's actions on the physical cardiovascular system and the emotional spiritual heart. Motherwort has a strong history of use in both Europe and Asia and is associated with aiding mothers and women. Many cultures have used motherwort to honor their goddesses of fertility because of the herb's association with Venus and the moon. It was considered a protective plant, especially useful in spells to guard pregnant women and their unborn children from envy and evil air. It was often planted around the home or hung from doorways, as it was said to keep away unwanted guests, both physical and supernatural. Motherwort was either smoked or burned to use for smoke cleansing, as it would drive bad spirits out of the house. Many species of motherwort were used for heart protection and for counter magic to reverse a curse. Japanese folklore tells of a town where the main water source was a stream fed by rainwater trickling through the hills of motherwort. The inhabitants of the village drank daily from this stream and were bestowed with extraordinarily long life, up to 130 years old. Ancient Greeks used motherwort to treat anxiety, depression, heart palpitations, and nervousness in pregnant women. In traditional Chinese medicine, motherwort is used to invigorate the blood. Like the radiance of lion's heart, motherwort's energy builds up inner trust and confidence. Lion-hearted motherwort is representative of the beauty we possess when we own the power of our gifts and creativity. The goddess sits centered as the lion leans in on her state of peaceful delight, symbolizing the unwavering faith we must keep as we transcend old fears. Venus, her planetary ruler, is like a midwife to our happiness, channeling how we accept and transmit our heart's desires. Find new ways to facilitate creativity that honor and revel your passions and strengths. Devote yourself to the fertility of your gifts and courageously accept your divine destiny. Okay, Ceres and Gemini. That's a lot of mothering. That's a lot. So just take your time with this, though. Ease into everything. Be gentle with yourself. And remember that when you're facing this nurturing of your intellectual sides and then bringing it to the outer world, don't neglect these aspects of yourself. The heart and the psyche are very much yelling through these cards, right? Gemini, I'm a Gemini moon, so I understand what it means to hold intellectual things very sacred, but I try to get back into my heart space and keep my intuition and psyche up and running at the same time. It's easy to get lost in the intellectual realms. It's so easy, but it's not the only thing that exists, right? So remembering that as you're nurturing yourself and others going forward, that these pieces of yourself are your gifts and they are to be held sacred. But remembering that you also have parts of yourself that need the attention to detail and the discovery and your intellect to bring in the love and intuition into those spaces as well. You can use intellect to do that. You don't have to shut it off. It's not a valve to be shut off. You are the researcher. You're the investigator. I know Scorpio is the detective, but Gemini likes to research. So through that, you can find the best way to get into these properties for yourself and nurture them. Okay? And that's all I have for you today, Ceres and Gemini. I love you, and until next time, keep your flame.